So, first of all, can you tell me a bit about your aims for the piece?
So my aims for the piece was...
Come a bit closer,
sorry.
so that people don't have to whisper.
Okay. So my main aim for the piece was kind of to tell a story that could have been an everyday thing, almost. Back in the 80s, back at the height of the Troubles, there was that kind of... There was a lot of the British infiltrating the IRA, and I wanted to tell one of those stories. Eventually decided that flipping the scenes the other way around would serve that story, as well as just telling the story of this woman who meets one of these soldiers and kind of falls in love with him, but we'd see from like the betrayal to the kind of where they were in love to, you know, back to the beginning when they first met, because I think that would be quite an interesting way to show it, especially with the first scene, Josie being quite a small character in the first scene. I think that was quite a nice... We would see Donna and we'd see the effect of Josie's actions more than we would see Josie, and then we would go on to see how that came about, how that came to be.
Right.
So we kind of started with the effect and finished with the cause, if that makes sense.
Okay. So, and the way that you achieved that, tell me a little bit about that.
I wanted to play a lot with the semiotics, because I think that's... You can tell a really strong story through stage placement and the props you're using, I think. And I think a lot of that contributes a lot to the story. And obviously, the actors and the way they're performing and the words they're saying obviously have a purpose and have a meaning, but I think it's kind of the marriage of both, and I personally really enjoy semiotics and how you can create sort of the expectation and reality kind of thing of, if you set up the semiotics of one thing and then have something else come in underneath it or on top of it, you can really catch an audience off guard with that.
Okay.
And I like that.
Okay. So you had more time.
Yes.
What would you do?
I think I would work more with... I try and work in the dustbin lids a bit more, I think, because that's... Going back to the semiotics, that's such a strong semiotic signal for the Troubles and for the house raiding that went on. And I think it was really strong and really nice in the first scene, but I think I would have liked to have created a theme of that throughout. So I would work a bit more with that. And I'd look more at the props that we were using as well. Like, all of the props I used they served the purpose they needed to serve, but I would have liked to have stylized the props almost. I did have an idea at one point to have like all of the props we had, but completely plain white, to visually counterpoint the blacks and the gritty kind of aesthetic we were going. And then to have the pure white props, I think that could have been it could have offered an interesting visual counterpoint, and I could have then used that to play with the kind of Josie's innocence and almost the loss of it. Because she seems, in the first scene, the third scene, when they first meet, she seems a bit like... She kind of likes him, there's a bit of something in there, maybe she doesn't want to be interrogating him, and then you see them, you see her fall in love with him, and there's that whole, like, is he manipulating her, is he not? And I think by using props and playing with semiotics with that, I could have fed into that aspect of the story a lot more than I did.
Okay. And what have you learnt about directing?
Where do I start the list? It's a lot more work than I expected it to be, and I expected it to be, a lot of work, but it ended up being kind of all-encompassing and took over a lot of my time. I really enjoyed it. I love, because I like making things, I like creating things. So I think from a directorial standpoint, it was nice. I think I learned a lot about kind of working with people, working with actors, and, how much the tech and the props and all that feed into the acting, because I think if we had just done acting for this whole course, it would have been very much, we're actors, but now we've done a bit of directing work. I know that side of it a bit more, and I know how to work with it. I've learned how to work that side of it a bit more, and I like that. It's pretty cute.
Wonderful. Okay,